Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to Chemicate. Do concentration questions confuse you in stoichiometry, or do you forget when to use moles, concentration, volume or mole ratios? In today's video, I'll teach you a complete method for solving concentration questions, and by the end of this lesson you will be able to solve questions confidently. We know that solution has two components, a solute and a solvent. Solute is a substance being dissolved. For example, salt is the solute in salt solution, and solvent is the liquid that dissolves the solute. For example, water is the solvent in salt solution. Concentration tells us how much solute is dissolved in a given volume of a solution. For example, if I dissolve 1 spoon of sugar in a glass of water, the solution is less concentrated or it's a dilute solution. But if I dissolve 10 spoons of sugar in the same glass of water, the solution now becomes more concentrated. So concentration measures the amount of dissolved substance per unit volume. So you can define concentration in two ways. First is that concentration is the number of moles of solute. Okay? So concentration is the number of moles of solute dissolved per cubic decimeter of a solution. So the unit of concentration will be moles per cubic decimeter. The other way to define concentration is the number of grams of solute dissolved per decimeter cube of a solution. So this is in terms of mass. Alright. So the unit would be, the other unit of concentration will be gram per cubic decimeter. Concentration connects mole and volume. And if you write the formula for concentration, it would be that concentration is equal to moles divided by volume. And if you want to calculate moles, the formula would be concentration multiplied by volume. And if you want to calculate volume from this formula, the formula would be moles divided by concentration. Alright, since we can measure concentration in terms of moles as well as in terms of mass, we have mole concentration and mass concentration, and you can interconvert between mole concentration and mass concentration by following this relationship. So here in this question, the concentration of a solution of HCl is 30 gram per cubic decimeter. What is its concentration in moles per cubic decimeter? MR is also given. In the question, we have to calculate the concentration in terms of moles, and the concentration in terms of grams or in terms of mass is given. That means that we will be using the first formula, that concentration in terms of moles, this is equal to concentration in terms of mass you have to divide it with MR. So concentration or mass concentration is how much? It is 30 grams per cubic decimeter. MR is 36.5. So our concentration in terms of moles will be 0.82 moles per cubic decimeter. Moving on to next question, that if we have to find out concentration, for example, if 0.2 mole sodium chloride in 0.5 cubic decimeter solution, find its concentration. So first of all, you have to write the data, and the data is that the number of moles are how much? it is 0.2 moles, and the volume is 0.5 cubic decimeter, and we have to calculate the concentration. We have to find out the concentration, so we'll use the formula that we just wrote right now. It is moles per unit volume. Mole, the value of moles is 0.2 and the value for volume is 0.5, so our answer will be 0.4 moles per cubic decimeter. Alright, next question is that if you have to find out moles from concentration. Here 0.5 cubic decimeter of a solution has a concentration of 2 moles per cubic decimeter. You have to find moles. Again, write the data first of all, which is volume. Volume is how much? It is 0.5 cubic decimeter, and concentration is 2 moles per cubic decimeter, and we have to calculate moles. We have to find out moles. So what is the formula to find out moles? It is concentration. Moles is equal to concentration multiplied by volume. Concentration is 2 moles per decimeter cube and volume is 0.5. So our answer is 1 mole. Next question is, in this we have to find out the volume of a solution that has a concentration of 2 moles per cubic decimeter. It contains 0.6 mole of solute. Find its volume. So here the concentration is 2 moles per cubic decimeter, and the number of moles, the moles are 0.6 mole, and we have to calculate the volume. Now the formula for volume is moles divided by concentration, and number of moles are 0.6 divided by concentration is 2, so the volume will be 0.3 cubic decimeter. Alright, now let's calculate the concentration in moles per cubic decimeter of a solution which contains 20 gram of sodium hydroxide dissolved in 100 cubic centimeter of a solution. Again, we are going to write the data. We are given mass, and this is 20 gram. Volume is also given. Volume is 100 cubic centimeter, and we have to calculate the concentration in terms of moles per cubic decimeter. But we are not given moles, we are given mass. So first of all we have to change, or we have to calculate moles. For calculating moles, the formula is mass in gram divided by mR. Mass in gram is how much? It is 20. mR for sodium hydroxide is 40. So our answer is 0.5 moles. And the next thing is that we are asked to calculate concentration in moles per cubic decimeter. We have to change, but the volume is given is in cubic centimeter. So we have to convert it into cubic decimeter by dividing it with 1000, and our answer will be 0.100 cubic decimeter. Alright, now we just have to write the formula for concentration, which is moles over volume. Moles are how much? It is 0.5 moles, and the volume is 0.1. So concentration will be 5 moles per cubic decimeter. Alright, now next question is that what volume in cubic centimeter will be required to prepare 0.4 moles per cubic decimeter hydrochloric acid solution which contains 2 moles of hydrochloric acid. Okay, again we will write the data. The concentration is how much? It is 0.4 moles per cubic decimeter, and the number of moles are just 2 moles. Okay, and we just have to calculate the volume in cubic centimeter. Okay, so we can just use the formula for calculating volume. That volume is equal to moles divided by concentration. So just put the values. Number of moles is 2, concentration is 0.4. the answer will be 5 cubic decimeter, but we have to change it into cubic centimeter. We can do it by multiplying with 1000, so our answer will be 5000 cubic decimeter. Okay, now in some questions we have to link concentration questions with stoichiometry, so you have to keep in mind these 3 steps while solving these questions. Now the first step is that you have to find out the moles. That is the first step. In the second step, you have to write the balanced chemical equation. You have to check the mole ratio, and with the help of that mole ratio you can find out mass, moles, volume, whatever is required in the question. And then in the third step you will find out the unknown quantity which is asked in the question. So for practice we can do this question, that 50 cubic centimeter of sulfuric acid of 0.1 moles per cubic decimeter reacts completely with sodium hydroxide. Find moles of sodium hydroxide required. Again, the first thing is that we have to write data, but first of all let's write what is step 1. Step 1 is that we have to find out the moles. Okay, so the data which is given in the question is, we are given the volume of we have sulfuric acid which is 50 cubic centimeter, but we have to change it into cubic decimeter because the concentration is in moles per cubic decimeter. So our answer will be 0.050 cubic decimeter. The concentration is given in the question. The concentration is 0.1 moles per cubic decimeter, and our first step is that we have to find moles. We can find moles by using the formula, that concentration multiplied by volume. So concentration is 0.1 and the volume in cubic decimeter is 0.05. So the number of moles will be 0.005 moles. We have calculated moles. We are done with step 1, and next is we have to write step 2. In step 2 we have to write the balanced chemical equation, and we have to check the mole ratios as well. So the equation will be between sulfuric acid H2SO4 reacting with sodium hydroxide. It's an acid-base reaction, it's a neutralization reaction. The product will be salt. The salt in this case will be sodium sulfate. The formula for sodium sulfate is Na2SO4. Be careful while writing the formula of the salt, it should be correct one. And along with salt, water is also formed. Now after writing this equation, we need to balance this equation. If I write 2 over here, the equation gets balanced, and we have to see the mole ratio between sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide. According to this equation, 1 mole of sulfuric acid reacts with 2 moles of sodium hydroxide. But we have calculated the moles for sulfuric acid, which is 0.005 moles. If we have this much moles of sulfuric acid, how many moles of sodium hydroxide will be required? So we can calculate the value of X. So X will be equal to 2 multiplied by 0.005, and the answer will be 0.01 moles. So we were asked to find out the moles of sodium hydroxide required. So this is our answer, 0.01 moles. Okay. The next question is that what mass of sodium chloride will be produced when 200 cubic centimeter of 0.5 moles per cubic decimeter sodium hydroxide solution reacts with reacts with hydrochloric acid. All right, again we have to follow the same steps. We have to calculate. In step 1 we have to calculate the number of moles. Okay, but before that we have to write the data as well. The data which is given for sodium hydroxide, it is the volume is 200 cubic centimeter, and the concentration is 0.5 moles per cubic decimeter. Again we need to change cubic centimeter into cubic decimeter. This will be equal to, divided by 1000, the answer will be 0.20 cubic decimeter. In the step 1 we have to calculate the number of moles. Again use the same formula, that moles is equal to concentration multiplied by volume. Now the concentration is 0.5 moles multiplied by volume. The volume is 0.20, so the number of moles will be equal to 0.1 moles. Now we are done with step 1. We have to do step number 2. For that we need to write the balanced chemical equation. We have to write the reaction between sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. The salt will be sodium chloride plus water. Now we have to see that in the question they are saying that what mass of NaCl will be produced when you are using this much amount of sodium hydroxide. So it's a relation between sodium hydroxide and sodium chloride. Now according to this balance equation, we have 1 mole of sodium hydroxide producing 1 mole of sodium chloride, but they have asked us to calculate the mass. All right, so we have to change mole into mass. So what is the formula to calculate mass? Mass is equal to moles multiplied by mr, is 1 mole multiplied by mr. The mr for sodium chloride is 58.5, so that makes 58.5 gram. So it means that 1 mole of sodium hydroxide produces 58.5 grams of sodium chloride. Then what about this much mole, 0.1 mole? It will produce how many grams of NaCl? We just cross it and find the value of X. X will be equal to will be equal to 0.1 multiplied by 58.5. So our answer will be 5.85 gram. So this is the unknown quantity that we had to, that is actually our step 3 as well, that we have calculated the unknown quantity. Okay, next question is that what will be the concentration of 25 cubic centimeter of calcium hydroxide solution which is neutralized by 30 cubic centimeter of 0.1 moles per cubic decimeter nitric acid solution. Okay, so again in step 1 we have to find out the number of moles, but before that we need to write the data. Over here we have given some information about nitric acid as well as calcium hydroxide. For nitric acid, the concentration given in the question is concentration of nitric acid is 0.1 mole per cubic decimeter, and its volume is 30 cubic centimeter. You can change it into cubic decimeter by dividing it with 1000, so it will be 0.030 cubic decimeter. And then we can also write the information given for calcium hydroxide. It is we are just given the volume. And its volume is 25 cubic centimeter. You can change it into cubic decimeter. It will be 0.025 cubic decimeter, and then we have to calculate its concentration. For calcium hydroxide we cannot calculate its moles right now, but for nitric acid we can calculate moles because concentration and volume, both values are given. So moles is equal to concentration multiplied by volume. Concentration is 0.1 and the volume is 0.030. Number of moles will be equal to 0.003. So we are done with the first step, that we have calculated the number of moles. Next, step number 2 is that we have to write the balanced chemical equation for the reaction between calcium hydroxide and nitric acid in step number 2. So nitric acid plus calcium hydroxide, the salt formed in this case will be calcium nitrate. The formula of the salt will be CaNO3 whole twice plus water. Now you just have to balance this equation. We have to balance the nitrates, so but you have to write 2 over here, and then hydrogens need to be balanced. Now the equation is balanced. From this equation we can see the mole ratio between nitric acid and calcium hydroxide, that 2 moles of nitric acid react with 1 mole of calcium hydroxide. Now how many moles of calcium hydroxide will be needed if we have this much moles of nitric acid that we just calculated? It was 0.003 moles. So calculate the value of x. It will be 2x will be equal to 0.003, or you can say the value of x will be equal to 0.003 divided by 2. Your answer will be 0.0015 moles of calcium hydroxide. Now we have calculated, in step number 2, we have calculated the moles of calcium hydroxide, which is 0. We have just calculated it, and it is 0.0015 moles. Now in the third step, we will do whatever is asked in the question, and we are asked to calculate in step number 3. And what is that? We have to calculate the concentration of calcium hydroxide. Now we can calculate the concentration of calcium hydroxide by using the formula that concentration is equal to moles over volume. Here we have just calculated the moles, which is 0.0015 divided by volume. How much volume was given in the question? It was 0.025 cubic centimeter. Now the concentration of calcium hydroxide will be 0.06 moles per cubic decimeter. So we have followed these 3 steps to get the answer. Now next question is that what will be the concentration of 20 cubic centimeter of phosphoric acid, which is required to neutralize 40 cubic centimeter of 0.6 moles per cubic decimeter solution of sodium hydroxide. Again we will follow the same steps. Step number 1, we'll find the number of moles, and before that we have to write the data. We have given some information about phosphoric acid. H3PO4 is phosphoric acid. We have to calculate its concentration. This is what we have to do in the question, and its volume is given, which is 20 cubic centimeter. 20 cubic centimeter means that it is equal to 0.02 cubic decimeter. And then next is the next thing is sodium hydroxide. For sodium hydroxide, they have given the concentration, which is 0.6 moles per cubic decimeter, and its volume is 40 cubic centimeter. Change it into decimeter, cubic decimeter, and it will be equal to 0.04 cubic decimeter. Now we have to in step 1, what do? We have to find moles. We cannot find moles for phosphoric acid, but we can find moles for sodium hydroxide, because we know the quantities for concentration and volume. Concentration is 0.6 multiplied by volume 0.04, and our answer will be 0.024 moles. Now we move on to step number 2. For that we have to write the balanced chemical equation between phosphoric acid, H3PO4, and sodium hydroxide. Again, its neutralization reaction, salt will be formed. The salt will be sodium phosphate. The formula for sodium phosphate will be Na3PO4. This is sodium phosphate plus water molecules. Water is also formed. Now we need to balance this. Balance sodiums first. Sodium, for that we write 3 over here. Then we need to balance hydrogens. So for that we can write 3 over here to balance this equation. The equation gets balanced, and now we have to see that the mole ratio between phosphoric acid and sodium hydroxide, that 1 mole of phosphoric acid reacts with 3 moles of sodium hydroxide. So how many moles of phosphoric acid will react with 0.024 moles of sodium hydroxide? These moles that we just calculated. Okay, Now just find the value of x. It will be 3x will be equal to 0.024. Value of x will be 0.024 divided by 3, and it will be 0.008 moles. Now we have calculated the moles of phosphoric acid as well. We have calculated the moles, and these are 0.008 moles. Now we can easily calculate concentration, because volume is also given in step 3. We will do what has been asked in the question, that we have to calculate the concentration by using the formula that concentration is equal to moles over volume. We have just calculated moles, which is 0.008 divided by the volume, which is given in the question was 0.02. So our answer will be, the concentration will be 0.4 moles per cubic decimeter. That's the answer. Now there is one more bonus short question for you, that 20 cubic centimeter of a solution has a concentration of 0.5 moles per cubic decimeter. How many moles of solute are present? Now you have to write the answer in the comments. Alright. Now let's also talk about some common mistakes that are made by the students. First of all is forgetting to convert cubic centimeter into cubic decimeter. You have to convert volume into cubic decimeter. And second mistake is that using incorrect mole ratios. You have to check the coefficients carefully. The third mistake that the students mostly make is writing wrong formulas, incorrect balancing of equations. So you have to be careful and don't repeat these mistakes. If this video helped you understand concentration calculations, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Chemicate. Follow Chemicate for more chemistry lessons.